Hey guys, Daniel here today, solo today on the Clemson Kickoff Podcast. Thanks for joining us. We wanted to talk today about the portal losses that Clemson had, and really kind of break those down and kind of see, where this is really going to hurt Clemson, what's going to be next, all those good things that come up when you have these kinds of roster moves and everything that's going on with the program right now. So the portal closed last night. Really wasn't that bad of a deal for Clemson this year. That quite a fewer number of names in the portal as opposed to the last couple of years. Our buddy John Blau on Twitter pointed out from the Charleston newspaper today that in the past couple of years, Clemson's had about a dozen guys jump into the portal. This year, right now, as we know, there have only been four. Those four are A.J. Hoffler, Sherrod Covil, Noble Johnson, and Troy Stellato. So two from offense, two from defense, and those are the scholarship guys. Those are the ones that we're going to focus on here as we move forward. So it's not that bad. It's four guys. Look, I think Covil's had a couple of moments where he's done some good things. Stellato really became a good player the last couple of years. Hated to see him jump into the portal. Noble Johnson really hasn't played a whole lot. And then AJ Hoffler is the one that's kind of you really just don't know how to take it because you thought, okay, he's going to be a good player. He started off the season really strong, but then he really didn't do much at the end of the year. And then our buddy over at TigerNet.com, David Hood, and his group, when they wrote the story about Hoffler going into the portal, mentioned he only played 7 snaps against Texas, and I didn't realize that he had only played that few snaps. So, kind of shows you maybe that he wasn't having nearly as big of an impact as you would want him to have as a guy who you thought at the start of the year was going to be a starter. So those are the four right now, and we'll see if there will be any more. The names can keep trickling in for about 48 hours after the portal closed on Saturday night because it does take the compliance folks at Clemson and other schools a little bit of time to get these names and their paperwork filed. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. We'll update those if there's any more. But those are the four right now who we know are officially in the portal and have filed their paperwork. So we'll see if there's any more as they come along the next couple of days. So it's really not that big of a loss, if you look at it with just those four names. You really don't want anybody to go in the portal, but that's not real life anymore in college football. Guys are going to jump in the portal. They want other opportunities. There's other factors that we all know about and we've talked about. So we'll see how this plays out with those four, and if there are any more. And there is the other window coming in April. So what does that mean for the roster moving forward? It opens up some spots. We've talked about the two additions that they've already had. We talked about those in our last video, and you can check those out on our YouTube page. It's I think there's some other spots that they could add here. Maybe they add another defensive end now that Hoffler's gone. I really think they need another linebacker, and I think they need a punter. I know it sounds weird to say, hey, go get a punter in the portal, or we always talk about punters don't get drafted in the NFL, and sometimes their punters are walk-ons, right, in college. But I think you need to go get a punter. I think you saw this past season, how much that kind of hurt Clemson not being great at punter. So, we'll continue to see if they do land some more guys. I would think I'd be shocked if they just end up with just those two in the portal additions this year. And I know those were big deals and big news if you're a Clemson fan, because it's really the first time they've added some significant players through the portal. But I think you will see them add some more, and we'll see what those positions will be. I would think, again, defensive end, linebacker, and punter. I think you need to go there, and then you'll figure out what else what other holes there are to fill, and there probably will be other holes. And then to talk about that, you get into the draft declarations, and you look and see who's declared for the draft. Right now, it's Barrett Carter and Peyton Page on defense, Phil Maffa, Jake Brennenstool, and RJ Mickens on defense as well. Sorry, so 3 on defense, 3 on offense. Phil Maffa, Jake Brennenstool, and Marcus Tate. None of those guys are surprises. They had wrapped up their eligibility. They weren't going to be back next year. So now, what else could happen? You're wondering about Cade Klubnik. You're wondering about Antonio Williams. Those are the decisions that are going to be the ones that I think Clemson fans are going to be kind of hanging on these next couple of weeks and see, what happens there. I think they'll both be back. I think they both need to come back and really could help their draft stock next year. I think, look, Cade had a great year, but I also think, there's some growing that he still needs to do. Antonio as well. I think Antonio probably could be ready for the NFL right now, but I also think he could help his draft stock if he came back and had another big year like he had this year. So, we'll continue to update you on those as well. Some good news for Clemson, especially on the defensive side. Peter Woods, TJ Parker, and Wade Woodaz have all said they're coming back. Probably the 3 most impactful players on the defense this year in the last couple of years, or 3 of the most impactful. Obviously, Barrett Carter and RJ Mickens had big impacts, but those are guys that that's a big deal, getting them back. And you'd love to see TJ Parker, Peter Woods be healthy for a full year. TJ Parker showed this year what he could be, and I think you need to see another year of Wade Wood as well. So we'll continue to see those decisions being made as well, and we'll update you on those here on the podcast as those continue to come in. And then the other big piece of the puzzle here, we've talked about portal subtractions, we've talked about portal additions, we've talked about guys going to the draft, we've talked about guys who said they're staying, is the coaching staff. And look, we're not going to speculate on somebody getting fired because that's somebody's livelihood and it impacts their family. But I think there have to be some changes somewhere, somehow on the defensive staff. I don't think you can have as bad a year defensively as this team had and nothing changes on the defensive staff. So, there's been a lot of rumors out there. We'll leave those for other folks to talk about. But if and when those things do become true, we'll get on here and talk about the impact. I just feel like there has to be some changes, at least one change on the defensive staff. And if you've watched our podcast these last couple of years and listened to us, you've heard what I think about what needs to change on the defensive staff. I just think the leadership there is just not there right now. And so they need to make at least one change, maybe 2, and we'll see, how that is, what that is coming down the line, what's going to happen there. So that's kind of where we are right now on this Sunday morning. Just wanted to update you on the portal, the NFL draft stuff, who's staying, and the rumors about the coaching changes are hot and heavy right now. And I don't think there's anything coming immediately. I think there's all the talk about Dabo being out on vacation and all that stuff, and we'll see, if and when changes are made. But if there are changes, we'll come on and talk about them right here on the podcast. And Bill wasn't able to be here today, Jeremy as well, and Micah. So I just wanted to get on here today and kind of update everybody on where we stand with the roster for the Clemson football team. And we'll continue to do the podcast, even if it's me solo or some combination of the 4 of us. We want to keep this thing going and keep it rolling. So check us out on all of our social media, on Twitter, on Blue Sky. Check us out on YouTube right here on our channel. and let us know what you think. Subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on the roster and any changes that are coming up, within the coaching staff, within the roster, and anything else that's coming up. And we'll have it all right here for you on Clemson Kickoff on the Reign Supreme podcast. Appreciate you joining us here on this Sunday morning. We'll talk to you guys next time.